Support for Cinema Classics comes from Film Columbus, enriching our community to make Columbus a destination for film education, exhibition, and production. Learn more at filmcolumbus.com. Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to shows every Thursday at 8:01 p.m. and full shows online at WCBE.org. I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
I'm John DeSando.
This is Cinema Classics.
It is.
We're really going to be talking about classics this time.
Boy.
Sometimes we veer off of that topic.
And we lost a couple in the last couple of weeks, and they're somewhat related.
Okay.
We're featuring today Stanley Donen,
Okay.
who was once called the king of the Hollywood musical.
Yeah.
Okay, and we lost all...
Well, if you directed Singing in the Rain.
Sure, you bet. But we also lost Albert Finney.
Oh, yeah. And interestingly enough, they collaborated on one of Donen's great movies.
Yeah.
One of each of their great films.
Yeah, right. Two for the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Such a great movie.
Oh, my gosh. Well, all of these, and Donen received a special Hollywood award, an Oscars award.
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah.
You know, though, he was snubbed in this year's In Memoriam montage.
No, I did not know that. Yes.
It's one of the best features of every Oscar show each year is the In Memoriam
Of course.
montage, right?
Yeah.
I guess he died. I don't know if I can't imagine that they actually snubbed him. He probably died too close to the production.
Right.
So he'll be included, one hopes, next year. He'll kick that memoriam off.
Well, when he received his honorary Oscar in 1998, here's what they said about him, and I think it captures him in the language. For a body of work marked by grace, elegance, wit, and visual innovation. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
When you think about On the Town or Singing in the Rain.
Right.
And
never won an award, by the way. Never won an Oscar. One of those kind of guys, that just flew under the radar, making hits his whole career.
Yep.
Well into the, in the 80s, there's this movie that he made called Blame It on Rio, which, when I was a kid, I really thought was, I was watching because I was, my hormones were raging.
Sure.
Not considered a great movie by any stretch, but he was making movies. One of those guys, those old Hollywood guys, who had a career that spanned 50 years or more.
I know. I was thinking of course, my old favorite, Michael Curtis, who had done Casablanca and Captain Blood,
right.
and a bunch of others. How are they possibly able to do different?
So this is interesting. Stanley Donen had an interesting career because he started out co-directing and choreographing with Gene Kelly.
So
Anchors Away, On the Town. It was great, colorful musicals that, get your toes tapping.
And they were two completely different people.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelly was an aggressive dancer, and Donen, who started out as a hoofer, was a much more elegant, low, understated guy. Mm-hmm. So the two of them kind of worked together well.
Yeah.
And I think he may have been the one responsible for putting Kelly, if Kelly didn't put himself through that week just doing the rain sequence.
Right.
Oh my Lord.
If you accomplished one thing.
Oh, it was so right.
Not even having directed the whole movie, had you just accomplished choreographing that one scene, you would have embedded yourself in Hollywood history.
Oh my
forever,
gosh,
right?
yeah, oh yeah.
Let's talk about that Singing in the Rain. Singing in the Rain. Such a delightful, meta film.
Sure.
Right? One of those movies when we talk about Hollywood making movies about itself.
About it,
so
and
it's
loving
got
it,
that.
yeah.
All these dazzling performances by Gene Kelly,
and
Debbie Reynolds,
Donald O'Connor.
Whoa!
I'm just practically breathless every time I see him dance.
Yeah.
And I think both of them danced on the ceiling at some point.
Probably
they did.
Yeah,
In fact, Donen did a special on who was it? Darn it! Lionel Richie's song "Dancing on the Ceiling."
Oh yeah,
They brought him in to do that because of his expertise.
Right. Oh yeah, I remember that. Right. But Singing in the Rain is it is pure joy shot straight into your veins, and of course it culminates with Singing in the Rain, that number, and Gene Kelly, traipsing through that set. It's an obvious set, That's part of the magic.
Oh, you
that
are right.
The set is obvious, and yet all that water, all that rain coming down. Like, what happens to your brain when you see him just sloshing around, spinning around, twirling that umbrella?
Well, he's just swamped with love.
Yeah, God.
And what I love too, the tricky thing is that the three of them never do the singing in the rain, except for the opening when they're in their yellow raincoats.
Oh yeah.
Right, because that sequence belongs to him, and it's so typical of Kelly, who loves to take the kind of visceral reality and push it like a real man. He's such a and with a kind of voice that I love, which is not a voice for singing at all.
Of course. No, that's what makes it human. And that's what allows us to kind of step into his shoes. The other great number, I think, from that movie is Good Morning.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, it was great. Well, when it came down to later on in 1963, the one that interests me is Charade.
Yeah. Charade.
Don't you think it's a little bit different?
Oh man, yeah, it's like, imagine a Hitchcock movie was turned into something breezy and light.
Cary Grant, Audrey Hepburn. Oh my Lord!
It's got a lot of those Hitchcockian elements to it, right? I think Walter Matthau turns up as a bad guy.
He does. Perhaps I think he. Well, is he a mob boss or something like that, or is he the inspector?
I can't remember, but he's definitely one of the heavies. But it just has that Hitchcockian setup framework, some of the tropes, and then it just has this breezy, light, comedic element to it that is sheer Don.
I mean, there are kind of ghoulish bodies all over the place, and I mean, it's if you go to it expecting it to be truly lighthearted, you're going to have a different mindset. You're going to have to accept its eccentricity, and that's what I love about Donen and his ability. That the kind of thing that we really admire, where you're able to shift with the times and with your subject matter.
Yeah. Now I see. I didn't realize he did Seven Brides for
Seven
Brothers.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
I didn't realize.
Yeah, and Pajama Game.
Indiscreet, another kind of vaguely Hitchcockian thing.
Good.
So it's interesting to me. This guy who was a dancer.
Yes.
And then got his start directing these Gene Kelly musicals.
Yes.
Suddenly he kind of just segued, very subtly though, out of musicals. And maybe one of the hinges, film-wise, is Funny Face, right? With Audrey Hepburn. And Fred Astaire.
Yeah.
And that movie, after that, he starts to do more of these Charade, Indiscreet.
Yeah. What about Bedazzled?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up before we ran out of time.
I knew you would. Your buddy Dudley Moore is in it.
Oh my God, Dudley Moore is in it, and his partner Peter, who was the guy?
Peter Cook.
Peter Cook. Those guys were a great comedy team. And so years before America really knew of Dudley Moore in Blake Edwards movies like 10 and Arthur, he did this movie Bedazzled, which is about the devil trying to, seduce this guy. Very funny movie.
We opened up talking with Two for the Road, and I just remember it particularly because as a young man, I thought Albert Finney was the combination of perhaps Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire.
Yeah.
In other words, there was something that was very rough about the guy, but there was something delicate as well. And Audrey Hepburn was going, I think, through a divorce at that time, so it would appear that the two of them had connected in serious ways.
Okay.
And I don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
But there is something very magical about this married couple coming back to each other again, going through all the vicissitudes of marriage that we would expect. I thought it was really elegantly done.
It is. I have only seen it one time.
Yeah, okay.
But definitely the overall tone and the feeling, the sort of power that you get of, what you just said, the vicissitudes of marriage.
Right. Yeah.
And I can just see them in that car, though. And I'm left with the memory that they do stay together. I'm left with that memory. I don't know that's
yes, I think they do. I think
not.
they do. You're right. I haven't seen it in a long time either.
But it definitely is one of those. It's an older film that takes a stark look at marriage and how hard it really is to make it work, especially when you have two big personalities.
Well, you know, I'm going to miss Stanley Donen, or I'm going to miss the idea of Stanley Donen.
I like that. I'm going to miss the idea of him. And we should apply that to our lives more often.
We should.
Because I know 10 days ago you weren't thinking about Stanley
No,
Donen.
no.
Today
exactly,
you're thinking about
right.
Stanley Donen.
And, you know, and musicals are different from when he was having his, you know, and I think of, it starts for me maybe in Moulin Rouge, and then it comes up to Chicago. And these are different forms of that pure, colorful, technicolorful, kind of, well, just almost childish or childlike exuberance about Hollywood, about dancing. Anyway, he's the man.
He was great. He left an indelible mark on Hollywood history.
Thank you. Yes. All right.